16-year-old Britney Ujlaki, a vibrant and fearless rodeo competitor, vanished one March afternoon in 2020.
Her friend that had her, he dropped her off at the high school with some guy, and now no one can find her. None of her friends, her phone's not on.
What seemed like an innocent favor from a trusted friend spiraled into a chilling nightmare.
And she said that she wanted me to drop her off at high school to meet her new friend.
So, did you talk to her after that?
No,
I usually can smell somebody that's leaving out something. So what are you leaving out?
I'm not leaving out anything, sir.
3 days later, Britney was found dead in the middle of the Nevada desert, and as the community searched desperately for answers, the truth that emerged would reveal betrayal.
We have your DNA, and we have a condo.
It can't be. It is, sir.
Deceit.
Detective Fisher, because you got scared. You just admitted that. Your timeline doesn't match up. The other people we've talked to, their stories don't match with yours.
And a killer hiding in plain sight.
Okay.
Wait.
What happened to Britney Ujlaki, and how did the clues lead to someone she thought she could trust? Gabrielle Lynn Ujlaki went by the name Britney and was a 16-year-old social butterfly who fell in love with rodeos and horse riding at a very young age, despite growing up as a cowgirl in the small town of Spring Creek, Nevada. Britney was outgoing and knew how to get people's attention, and it was no secret that she didn't always attract the right attention, and her antics eventually led to her being homeschooled in her sophomore year of high school. But aside from normal teen rebellion, she'd managed to stay out of serious trouble and kept a consistent group of close friends. So when she told her dad that she was going to meet up with one of her longtime friends, 18-year-old Bryce Dickey, on the afternoon of March 8th, 2020, he didn't suspect that anything strange was going on. That day, she'd tagged along with her father, James, to his band rehearsal at a residence on Hillside Drive in the city of Elko. Then shortly after 3 p.m., she kissed him goodbye and left the residence to walk to nearby Angel Park. There, she was picked up by her friend Bryce around 3:25, and they spent the next little while talking and cruising around the city. At 5:45 that evening, Bryce returned to his house, and around that same time, James frantically phoned Britney's mother, Alicia, stating that Britney hadn't come home. Alicia confirmed that she didn't have their daughter either, and proceeded to call Bryce and ask where she was. But when she called, Bryce seemed confused. He'd assumed that Britney's parents knew of her plans for that day, and when asked what plans he was referring to, he advised that Britney had asked him to drop her off at Spring Creek High School an hour ago to meet with a new friend. He'd agreed and drove her there, and after bidding him goodbye, she'd hopped out of his truck and strolled over to a green Ford F-150 that was waiting for her nearby. In the driver's seat was a tall man that Bryce hadn't seen around before, but he figured it was probably a new boyfriend or something along those lines, and not wanting to be nosy, he left and went home. Panicked and angry, Alicia immediately hung up on Bryce and called her daughter's other close friends to see if they'd heard from her, but no one had spoken to Britney since earlier that afternoon. After waiting up all night and exhausting all her options, Alicia called the police the next morning to report the 16-year-old missing. Minutes later, an officer was at her home to get more information on the teen's last whereabouts.
Okay, so is it son or daughter? Daughter?
Yeah.
Okay. What is daughter's name?
Britney, you want to pick me? Get a picture. My name is Britney.
Okay.
She was supposed to be going home yesterday. She was at town with her dad.
Okay.
And she told him, I'm going to get a ride home with a friend. I'll beat you home. And he says, you better beat me because I'll be there in an hour. And she goes, we're going right home.
Talking about coming here?
Do you know her dad lives in South Fork? We're split up.
Okay.
And her friend that had her, I talked to him. He dropped her off at the high school down here at 4 o'clock with some guy. And I go, what guy? And he goes, I don't know. She just said my new friend. Tall, white, cowboy-looking guy with a green truck. And now no one can find her. None of her friends. Her phone's not on.
Okay. Has she ever did this before? Ever done this before?
And even when she does go out and do dumb things, we get a call with some crazy kind of an excuse, and trying to get her out of trouble. Nothing. Not a friend. None of her friends or best friends. Nobody can find her.
I need you to take a seat because there's some important information that I need from you, okay?
Okay.
So I know you're upset right now, but this is all important stuff that's going to help me put something in with dispatch so that we can talk to you a little bit. So yesterday, Have you guys tried to call any of her friends or
Everybody?
nobody's heard from her?
No.
Okay.
Which is weird. Because she's a social media freak. You know what I mean? She's always talking to people.
Well, did she go here to Spring Creek High School?
She's actually doing homeschool.
Okay.
She's got a lot of enemies, and I'm scared.
She has a lot of enemies. Why would you say that?
She just does. It's maybe non-school. Everybody wants. The last time she went to a rodeo, she got jumped by 4 girls. And I just worry.
Have you talked to her dad this morning?
Yeah.
He hasn't heard from her either?
No.
Okay.
And I can't talk to him because he just scares me. He just says she's in a ditch dead. And I can't do that. Just right now.
I think he's just really.
While most parents would behave like Alicia and avoid such devastating thoughts, James reportedly stated, almost factually, that he knew the girl was already dead. While there are a myriad of different ways that people respond to high stress and anxiety, the human propensity not to speak things into existence would typically keep a parent from making such comments about their child, even if they did suspect the worst. The fact that James would make such a comment has surely been noted as a red flag by the officer.
You guys weren't in a fight or anything like that recently. There'd be no reason for her to rebel or stay out.
No. I mean, I got lots of problems with her anyway because she's 17, or almost 17, and she's this. But yesterday and the last few days, we've been in a really good lull. I had talked to her FaceTime for an hour at like 1:30. Everything was just fine. She was just happy-go-lucky. Everything was good. I don't have her number memorized. I'm sorry.
And all we know is that it was a green truck. We know nothing else about the individual.
No, the boys said it was an ugly green F-150 from the early 2000s.
They dropped her off from down in Elko, right?
They picked her up here.
Yeah.
Up here at this high school. Because she was supposed to be going home.
The last person she was with, if you know anything about them.
Will you go away? We wake up Jane. Sorry, we have been up all night.
James?
James. Bryce Dickey is the kid that dropped her off. Sir, the last person that we know of that's seen her.
So I have to ask the glaring question. When did you guys become extremely worried that she was missing? I mean, because we're talking about now quite a long period of time between when she got dropped off with this male and
She was on it last night. Her dad was supposedly calling, and then I asked him this morning, did you make the report? He goes, no. So I've been up all night.
Okay, so you assume the dad was doing what you're doing now. Okay.
While James actually did report Britney's disappearance to the Elko County Sheriff's Office the night before, the deputy who took the report did not file Britney as a missing person or runaway juvenile. But the deputy did immediately investigate the report, first by contacting Bryce, who gave him a similar rundown about the green F-150, then by contacting dispatch and having them ping Britney's cell phone. While they couldn't determine the phone's current location, they were able to conclude that the phone was last active around 5:20 p.m. in the Boyd Kennedy area of Spring Creek. But when the officer went to the coordinates where it had last been active, there was no sign of Britney or her phone.
And then he was supposed to pick her. Well, she said he was picking her up, but Jim said he wasn't supposed to.
Is there any other friends that were with Bryce, or it was just Bryce?
It was just Bryce.
And she was with him, and then he dropped her off, and he had no idea who this guy was?
No, and he even said it seemed sketchy. And I'm like, well, why'd you leave her? Why'd you leave her?
Hey, young man, what's your name?
James?
James.
Well, Bryce told me that he dropped her off at the school at like around 4:30,
and she got into the truck with some guy, and there's like a green
early 2000s F-150.
Does he remember anything else about the truck? Stickers, damage? Just green. 4-door, extended cab, single cab.
That's when I asked him. He said he didn't get a good look at it. He said the guy was like tall, white. He was like a cowboy. And he was like, say he couldn't get a very good look at him. He just knew that he was wearing a cowboy hat and he was taller than his truck.
And I know your mom mentioned that your sister's into rodeo. Is this somebody she probably knows from rodeo?
Like that.
It would have to be somebody that she met through social media.
Yeah, probably.
Do any of you guys have access to her social media accounts?
I don't. I've had her friends pouring through them. And her last post was at like 5:30 last night.
5:30 last night.
The last Snapchat post Britney made was at 4:33 p.m., and it was a selfie using a funny face filter. She appeared to be laying on a man's lap, and a steering wheel could be seen in the corner, as if the man were sitting in the driver's seat of a vehicle. She'd made several posts before this final one, including another selfie that had been posted about 25 minutes earlier, but in this one, the same man could be clearly seen and identified. It was Bryce. These were apparently pictures that she'd taken in the hour after she'd been picked up by her friend. But about 30 minutes after her last post, around the time Bryce reported dropping her off with the unknown man, her phone went dark. And suddenly, as the officer was wrapping up, Alicia had a realization about who the unidentified male might be.
Is it worth mentioning that we had a big problem with a low-life piece of shit last summer that tried to rape my daughter, and he's still running around in Elko? Do you need to know that?
Who is it?
His name is Chris Meza. And she came into my work 2 nights ago just crying because he came up to her.
Mezza?
I think so. Let me look it up.
Could you think of any reason why your daughter would get in a truck with this individual?
He wouldn't get in the truck with her, but I don't trust these, but these redneck freaks in this town. And I wouldn't put it past him at all to do something and take her to him. It's Meza.
Okay.
I mean, he's like 19, and he tried to hurt her last year, and then he won't leave her alone. He terrorizes her every time he sees her.
Was there a police report last year?
There was, and when it came time for the detective to have her come in and talk, she couldn't do it. She just fell to pieces and couldn't do it. Her best friend.
And his name was Bryce, right?
Said that she's been talking to a guy named JT.
JT Jacob Taylor.
JT. She says she doesn't know anymore. She just keeps calling him JT. Who's Jacob Taylor?
Okay, Jacob Taylor isn't a cowboy. Jacob Taylor's like a little bit taller than me. He's a wrestler.
Wrestler at Spring Creek?
Yeah. And he has a red truck.
After gathering the little information that Alicia and James had, Britney was registered on the missing persons list, and the town of Elko was placed on high alert. As is customary, detectives first made a beeline for the last known person to have seen Britney, her friend Bryce. After speaking to him briefly over the phone later that day, he agreed to meet them the next day, March 10th, in the parking lot of Spring Creek High School where he'd reportedly dropped Britney off on the afternoon of the 8th.
No problem.
So, kind of run me through it so I can understand what's going on.
Alright, so Sunday, around 11, I started texting, got a few texts from Britney and just asked if I wanted to hang out. I said sure, got ready and stuff. Told me she could meet me at Angel Park because she said her dad was doing band practice. And then went to town, called her when I got into town on 5th. And then picked her up at Angel Park. Drove around, went up towards Mountain View. Asked what she wanted to do. Said she had no idea. Said, why don't we just go drive around the Spring Creek since we got more room over there. So we went back over the hill, just started chatting, kept driving around, and then we were over in the horse palace section, and my dad called me asking if I could come back home. So I told her I needed to go. Asked her if she wanted me to just drop her back off at Angel Park, and she said that she wanted me to drop her off at high school to meet her new friend, and said her dad was going to pick her up later. So then came over here, pulled in right over there, gave her a hug and stuff, and then she got out. I pulled out and then started heading that way, and the F-150 was over there, but I didn't know that was where she was going at that time. And then got about right towards where it opens up, and then looked back, and they were both standing outside the truck. And then I got to the turnout right over there by the middle school, and then the F-150 was in motion.
Okay. So you said what was the F-150?
Ones that are really ugly looking, have to like sidestep on.
Like that winter green, dark forest green?
Like a dark forest green.
Single cab, extra cab?
I think it was a single cab, but I didn't see if it was the crew cabs or what.
Crew cab? Okay. Did you talk to her after that?
No. I started heading back home, and then started talking with her friend Cheyenne Fry. Maybe half an hour later. I don't know exactly when it was.
Okay.
And then she told me that she couldn't get a hold of Britney or anything. And then I told her that I dropped her off. And then she asked me if I knew who it was. I didn't. Ask her if she knew, and she didn't. And then that's kind of when the whole search kind of started.
So why did I get information that you told one of the other sergeants that you spoke to the guy over here? Why did you tell that?
I haven't told any deputies or anything that I would talk to a guy over there.
Okay. You didn't tell the sergeant that you confronted the guy?
No.
You sure about that?
I am 100% positive, sir. Because I got a phone call from one that night, talked to him, and then me and my friend Cody and a few of my friends, we all went out searching that same night for her. We went around, came around the high school, went to behind Sage and started running lights, so we went to go check it out. Ended up being another deputy. And then,
Cody? Well, you talking to Cody?
Cody Miles, my friend. Told me we were going to go look down Boyd, and told us that there was already a deputy down there heading towards the reservoir. And so we went down there, ended up meeting with him on the road that cuts off Boyd to go to the reservoir. Talked to him, pretty much the same thing. It's going to fully chin each other with what we knew, and then kept looking down Boyd. All of our friends and us, we went back up with Maverick, and then kept searching. We went down Chimney Creek that night, and then around about 1:30 in the morning, we called her quits and went home.
So you picked her up at 1:30. Where did you guys go? I mean, you said you were with her for how long?
Dropped her off at 4:30, so that's 3.5 hours.
Okay. So I'm sure that you didn't drive around for 3.5 hours, because that's a waste of gas.
No, I drove around for 3.5 hours.
Okay. And that's all you did for 3.5 hours? That seems really odd that you just drive and aimlessly around.
That's what I do almost every day.
What's your Chevy?
It's a 93 Chevy 1500. Sorry, Silverado.
Silverado? So you just drove around, you didn't stop anywhere?
No, we didn't stop at all. We literally just kept doing circles, drove around towards the sports complex, looked back around, went to the housing section, to the horsepower section.
I just think it's kind of odd. I think you know more than what you're telling her.
I'm being honest, sir. I mean, not in a bad way, but any of my friends you can ask, it's what we do most of the time is literally just drive around Spring Creek for hours.
All right, well, I'm thinking you know more about Britney than what you're actually confident. I've been doing this for a long time, and I usually can smell somebody that's leaving out something. So what are you leaving out?
I'm not leaving out anything, sir. There's nothing that I'm leaving.
Further investigation would later reveal that the officer's hunch was spot on. There was a little detail about Bryce's time with Britney that he wasn't being honest about, and it had to do with what happened right before he reportedly dropped her at the high school. Detectives would find evidence of his dishonesty through the geolocation feature on Snapchat, which was used to pinpoint exactly where both Bryce and Britney had been during the before and during their meetup that day, but we'll discuss that in depth a little later.
If I come back and I find out that you're withholding information and being deceptive to me,
then that's when charges and stuff start coming.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I know.
Help your friend out.
I'm giving you everything I have. I literally, she seemed perfectly normal. I didn't stop anywhere. Those drove around and talked for like 3 hours.
Were you communicating her through text or through Snapchat?
Snapchat.
Just Snapchat?
Yeah, just Snapchat, and then called her right when I got to town.
When they post on Snapchat, they send out everything, right? And everybody gets it on their Snapchat, right?
What do you mean? Like when they post something on their story?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, whose vehicle and whose dudes was she with on her Snapchat?
I don't know. I didn't look at her so much. I'm like, I literally was sitting at home watching TV when she texted me, and I normally don't scroll through stories.
Okay. Well, you haven't opened it up or Snapchats? It should still be on your phone if you got it. So do you mind taking a look at it? And let's look at what you have for her Snapchats.
So then that's everything from Sunday.
Okay. What's that?
That was the Suburban she was talking about buying.
You mind if I scroll?
Oh, you're fine.
Yeah. You haven't had anything from her since Sunday, and that's it. Now, where are you? Are you okay? Answer the phone. What time was that?
That was 6:14, 6:20.
That actually shows yesterday.
No. So it says it at the top. So there's Sunday, and then yesterday, same thing as still some straight.
So what's this 846 Hillside Drive?
That's where she told me to pick her up at. Well, where Dad was doing bang practice.
Little sis is what you're referring to her as?
Yeah, she's called me a big brother since like my 8th grade year.
She mentioned about going anywhere?
No, not to me.
Out of town?
No.
Nothing with Dad?
No, besides talking she rarely talks about her family besides when like stuff's going on. The guy she's talked to for a while that I think lives over in New York or something like that. I don't know.
Why do you think that?
Because I swear she said New York, but I do not remember. Same thing, that's what we were pretty much heard. Because she used to brag about him. She had like a promise ring or something from him. She was talking about... shit, that is something I left out that I didn't think about. She mentioned that after the summer, she was going to move down to Texas with her friend, the one that I showed you in the picture.
Okay.
But that's the only place she mentioned towards going.
Can she possibly have another friend at Carson, or is it the same girl?
That's possible. She could have another friend at Carson, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I don't know exactly. Kind of just trying to piece small bits of information together.
Well, if she's your little sis, you'd think you'd know a lot of these little gaps.
The last 2 years, I haven't really been too close to anyone. Kind of lost contact with a lot of people. I mean, we talked pretty decently, but it's first time I've actually been able to like sit down and actually have like a full conversation with her in probably like a couple months.
So how's your friends know him? How's your friends know him? The two that's in your car?
Know who?
Know Britney. Do they know Britney?
Oh yeah, I know. Almost. We have a friend group here of around like 30, 40 people, and even more than that know Britney. Britney is really known all around Spring Creek.
Why's that?
She's bold, like, between like 3 years ago and like a year and a half ago, she kind of made a name for herself because a lot of people around here didn't like Britney.
Okay.
In that period, she got in a lot of fights, and then she talks to a lot of people.
Why did she go from unliked to liked? What's she doing to change that? Because usually it takes something dramatic.
Honestly, a lot of people still around here still don't.
Yeah.
There's like a very few amount of people that like.
Okay. So why would she go from that to being all of a sudden liked? And what's going on? She into the bad world and underworld? That.
Basically, anything I've heard is just stuff people have told me, nothing that I'm sure on. But like, Last year, I heard she was hanging out with a lot of people that just weren't very on the upside.
Like, what do you mean on the upside? Doing drinking, mirror, drugs?
Drugs. From what I was told, they were dealing drugs. But I don't know who these friends were.
So the friends are dealing drugs. Was she dealing drugs?
No, I don't know. Not that I was told.
So did you ever use weed with her?
No.
Did you ever drink with her?
Yeah, but probably last time I drank with Britney was a couple years ago.
Like, what do you mean on the upside? Doing drinking, mirror, drugs?
Drugs. From what I was told, they were dealing drugs. But I don't know who these friends were.
So the friends are dealing drugs. Was she dealing drugs?
No, I don't know. Not that I was told.
So did you ever use weed with her?
No.
Did you ever drink with her?
Yeah, but probably last time I drank with Britney was a couple years ago. She used to get in trouble a lot because she used to have a lot of friends over at her house when her dad would be on shifts and stuff like that.
Okay. Were they doing bad things while Dad was on shift?
I knew that Britney used to throw parties out there, but I don't know if she's thrown any recently.
Okay. So, was Dad like overprotective or just abusive kind of thing about certain things?
I don't know. I think my opinion would vary, but I try to, not in a bad way, but I try to stay away from him. So,
okay.
Just because in a few instances he's been a little, I don't want to say violent, but like verbally aggressive. And not just to like her, but a couple of our friends.
You're saying it's verbally aggressive, you're just kind of chewing their ass, or?
Between that and like kind of taking a step over, just being, just getting on her ass type of thing.
Okay. Does it primarily have to do with her just not answering and not doing what she's supposed to do, or more is it like hanging out with boys and Dad gets mad about that?
That would be my mom.
Call it small?
Yeah.
Okay.
I called her when she was at work and let her know where I was going.
Okay.
No, but as far as I know,
I think I left her a voicemail earlier. I think I left you a message earlier.
Yeah, I had a missed call. Sorry, I can't answer my cell phone at work. So
I'm Doug. I would shake your hand, but I think you kind of got the crud.
no, actually, I had an allergic reaction to medicine, but
Okay.
yes.
I'm Doug, so I was the one who was calling you. Bryce was with the kid that was missing, so we're just trying to figure out more information and trying to understand what's going on. So that's what we're out here doing.
Okay.
A few minutes after Bryce's mother arrived, the officer wrapped up the questioning and sent them on their way. Detectives spent the rest of the day contacting friends and surveilling the area for the green Ford pickup, but didn't discover any new leads. But they weren't prepared for what they would discover the very next day, when dispatch received a call from two men in the Burner Basin area of the Nevada desert. They reported that they were driving through the desert when they spotted something large wrapped in a blue tarp just a few from the road.
It looks like a human head to me. Yeah, it looks like a chest cavity with a dark pony or something. We walked over here on this side. I'm pretty sure that's their drag marks there.
Alright, well.
But I stopped right here. He parked right there where he's at. I stopped and I backed up right there. So I don't know if you guys do the tire print and all that, or if that's all to you.
Yeah, we'll have to do a whole bunch of stuff. That's what it is.
We'll find out here in a minute. But
First glance doesn't look good. Hey, Sigletti, probably should go down the bottom and come up, because this is probably what we're going to have to work right here.
yeah, it's I don't see you track and build. It's right. Yeah, let's go.
Drag mark right there. Grab a couple pictures from the side. Uh-oh. See it? Yep.
That's not good. Oh, that's a 1092. That's a body.
Yeah.
Let's get out.
Yep.
I can see enough right now. Look like a girl's hand. Let's back out.
So we'll get that. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
We'll process the whole thing. All right. Hey, Nick. And we got a female body. We have a female body. I don't know if it's her or what, but we have a female body out behind Burner Basin. Got drag marks and a bunch of things. So we had 2 guys that found them. We're getting their statements. I'll get a picture of their footprints that are going in and out, and I'll get a picture of their tread marks.
Okay. Well, we need to just take a picture of the bottom of your shoes just to exclude you out of it, of always. Might want to do a sitting in the...
Yeah, we'll take it.
Truck?
Yeah, if you want to... Or sit on the tailgate or wherever you want to pop it off, we'll take some quick pictures of it. If we can get both of them.
Yeah, I didn't see any tire tracks back here, so I backed up over here.
The remains were those of a teenage female who'd been strangled and stabbed in the neck, severing her carotid artery, and through presumptive identification, detectives concluded that they were the remains of Britney Ujleki. Detectives also noted that she was unclothed from the waist down, indicating that she'd been essayed around the time of her death. This theory was solidified when they found a male contraceptive wrapper on the ground near the road, along with a lanyard with the name Britney stitched into it. News of Britney's passing quickly spread through the small community, leaving friends, family, and neighbors shocked and devastated. Among many others, Bryce took to social media the next day to express his grief. Yesterday, we all received news that made us hit the floor. That day, I had tears of pain and joy. I wish she could have seen the amount of us that came together to honor you, sis. We love you so much. Just know you won't ever be forgotten. As the news was hitting the community, detectives were investigating the 2 gentlemen who found her, noting that they were rather tall and could fit the vague description of the unidentified man. The detectives had lingering suspicions that they could somehow be involved in what happened. However, they were both able to provide alibis for their whereabouts, and their boot prints didn't coincide with the drag marks that led to the tarp. Thus, the 2 men were ruled out. But the detectives knew exactly who they were going to talk to next. And on March 13th, 2 days after Britney was found, Bryce was brought into the Washoe County Sheriff's Office for questioning. And this is when his story started to get a little fuzzy.
Just showing you, door's not locked. You're not locked in here, all right? Like I said, you're not under arrest. Let's kind of back up a little bit. So how was it that you knew to pick her up? What was going on that day?
I was just hanging out at home, and then we were Snapchatting each other.
Okay.
I think around 11, I think. And then we were talking, and then she asked if I wanted to hang out. So then told her I'd get ready, and she told me their dad was having band practice, so she said she'd meet me at Angel Park.
Okay.
And then that's when I headed into town.
Okay, so she tells you she's in town, band practice. Now, what was kind of the nature of that conversation? What's your relationship with her?
Brittany has been one of my closest friends since probably my 7th, 8th grade year.
Oh, you known each other for a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, and that was one of the issues we had with the cop previously is, like we were going over, because her name on my phone is Little Sis, because she's called me Big Brother, so like freshman year. And then he kept asking me, well, if she's your little sis, wouldn't she know her better? Because there was questions of that I didn't know the answer to.
Did she text you first? Or sorry, when I say text, Snapchat, did I snap you first?
I was just saying Snapchat, so I'd be specific.
Okay, yeah, no, I appreciate that.
I honestly don't remember her texted first.
Okay. And what did she say? Do you remember kind of how the conversation went? Was it, and what I'm getting at is, I mean, are you guys in any type of dating relationship at all?
No.
No, okay. So it wasn't like, hey, let's go hang out and go party. Okay, all right, nothing like that. So she just wanted to hang out, basically?
Yeah.
Okay.
Detectives learned from one of Britney's friends that Bryce currently had a girlfriend and had been in a relationship for 2.5 years. However, his girlfriend was comfortable with their friendship because they'd been friends for 5 years and she'd never sensed anything romantic between the two. But everyone would soon learn that her intuition wasn't as accurate as she'd thought.
And you, just so you understand, and I'm not trying to hammer you on times, but you said that was approximately 11, right?
Well, when we were texting, it was approximately 11. I think I got into town somewhere between 12 and 1, I think.
Okay.
I have, because I called her when I got on the 5th Street, belonging on to Silver, to look, because she told me to call her when I got on the Silver so she could walk down Angel Park. So if you guys want, I could look at it and see what time that was.
Yeah, that'd be great. Absolutely.
It would have been 1:30.
1:30 is when you got into town, roughly?
Yeah, that was when I called her.
Okay. Okay, I called her at 1:30. All right. So you actually called her on the phone then at that point. Okay. Did you use any app to do that?
No, I had called her straight up.
Okay. So no Facebook Messenger or anything like that? Okay. So called her at 1:30, and what did she tell you at that time?
I called her to let her know I was coming on to Silver, and she just said, okay, I'll start walking down to Angel, and that was it.
Okay. And so you're heading up to Angel Park, and now when you say you picked her up at Angel Park, I assume drive time from Silver to Angel, roughly 5-10 minutes?
Probably 5.
While Bryce claims that he'd called Britney around 1:30 to let her know he was a few minutes away, records taken from Britney's Snapchat showed that she'd sent Bryce a message with the address of the band practice at 2:25, an hour after Bryce claimed he'd gotten into town and picked her up. She also sent him a follow-up message at 3:13 saying, "Hey, should I start walking over?" suggesting that they weren't actually together until around 3:20 that day. This was the last Snapchat message Britney would send to anyone.
And now when you say you picked her up at Angel Park, was that at Angel Park?
Yeah, right in the... When I called off by a Family Dollar, I don't know the name of that road. She was standing right in the middle of the parking lot on the phone.
At Angel Park?
Yeah.
Okay. What were you driving at that time?
It was my 93 Chevy Silverado.
93 Chevy Silverado?
Yeah.
Okay. What color is that?
Slightly roughly colored, but I'm pretty sure it's like really dark blue, but it looks black.
Okay. All right. So darker color.
Yeah.
Okay. Was there any conversation when you and I'm sure there was conversation, but was there any conversation that kind of sticks out in your mind when you picked her up?
I had a ton of conversations. There was a few, because the cops had previously asked me if she said anything about going anywhere besides, she said that she was planning on going to Texas after the summer with her friends, but besides because normally why we were normally hanging out was just catching up, because I hadn't seen Britney in a couple weeks.
So it was a bit okay. Okay.
Because she went because she was at the high school, then she went homeschool and then finished her credits. So I hadn't seen her since she left the high school.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, that makes sense. When was the last time that you had spoken with her? Before this?
Like seen her or just spoken to her?
Just spoken to her.
Day before.
Day before? And again, Snapchat?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah, okay. You keep in contact with her pretty regularly, even though she wasn't at school? Or is it just kind of rest?
Talk to her a couple times a week.
Okay. No, then the reason I'm asking that is, did she say anything about anyone that she was having problems with, or any people that she was interested in, or anything like that?
We all knew she was talking to some guy that we think was in New York, but I mean, she'd be talking to him for a while.
Okay.
Besides that, and then, like I told everyone else, a lot of people had problems with Britney, but nothing that we would see this outcome.
Sure. Well, hopefully, yeah. Okay. And now when you say a lot of people had, did she have, and now is not the time to hold back words, man. Did she have a bad reputation or something like that?
With a lot, because she used to get in a lot of fights, and a lot of people didn't like, Britney was a very straightforward person.
Okay.
And a lot of people didn't like that because she was very blunt and honest. Okay. So a lot of people disliked her.
They just didn't like how forward she was, and she really didn't hold back, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Primarily females, or male and female?
Yeah. All right. So you pick her up. You guys are kind of bullshitting about life in general. Where did you go after you picked her up? What was the plan there?
We didn't have a plan at that point, so we were kind of just dragging around. So I went up Mountain City, highway, and then I turned off towards Walmart, cruised up past Mountain View, just kind of my normal route when I'm forward in town and drive around.
When asked where he and Britney went after he picked her up, Bryce began blinking his eyes twice as fast as he was before. This nonverbal cue is a form of avoiding or obstructing eye contact and is a fight, flight, or freeze mechanism that's commonly a sign of discomfort or agitation. Pay attention to his hand motions, as they'll also become more animated, indicating a spike in anxiety or adrenaline.
And then came back down 5th, and then
Okay. And then down 5th?
yeah, and then kids asking, well, down 5th back towards Idaho, and then kept asking her what she wanted to do because I had no idea, and then she said, well, we can go down Bullion or Last Chance or just cruise around Elko or Spring Creek, and I was like, well, we'll just go cruise around Spring Creek because I'm not too familiar with Elko.
Okay.
And so we went there, and we were just straight talking, so I drove down through the roundabout, went through the horse pile section, went to the housing section.
And she was still with you all that.
Yeah, but you're still with me this time. And then we went through, kind of like the full circle, went through over by the sports complex in Spring Creek. And then I had to go back home to my dad's house, so I asked her if she wanted me to drop her off back at Andrew Park or where her dad was having practice. And then she was on her phone for about 30 seconds-ish, and then asked me if she'd drop her off at the high school to meet her new friend.
Okay, so she was texting on her phone at that time. Did she give any indication, of who she may have been talking to or anything like that?
No, she just described a new friend, but also same thing. Britney was always finding new friends. I mean, she had a new best friend probably about every month or so.
All right. No, you're up. Okay, so you guys go there to the high school. Now, when you say, and just looking for specifics again, just so that I can really hammer down timelines as best I can. Do you remember approximately what time that was that you dropped her off at the high school?
I just remember it was right around 4:30. I don't remember the exact time.
Okay. So when you dropped her up at the high school, can you kind of draw me a map of where it would be? I'm not super familiar with how the high school is laid out. Okay, out there.
So, like, here's the front of the high school.
Okay.
Comes down and then exit out onto the highway right here.
So now, did you kind of explain to me, did you drop her off like right next to his ride, or how did that down?
I dropped her off right here because I didn't know. I just pulled it to the high school because I didn't know where I was going. And then, so I got right here, and then she grabbed her keys, gave me a hug, said, love you, bye, and then got out of the truck, and then, so I pulled it in reverse, started pulling out this way, and then she walked over to that F-150, and then by the time I gotten back out and onto the highway, the F-150 was pulling out.
So you went back out the same way you came in over?
Yeah, no, I don't come out that way.
You don't go out that way, okay. Okay, and so you see the green F-150?
Yeah.
No doubt in your mind, F-150?
Yeah, no, I know exactly what truck it is because, to be bluntly, they're ugly as hell. There's only one truck like that. Can they have like bubble shape to them almost?
So again, I'm just asking for clarification because the deputies told me that initially when they spoke with you, you had provided a description of someone that may have been the driver of that truck.
They kept saying I gave a description, but literally the only thing I saw was a cowboy hat. That was it.
Okay, so you couldn't tell if he was tall, short, fat, skinny, anything like that?
The hat looked towards the top of the cab, so I said that, and they took it as tall. I'm like, that's why I kind of, after that last officer, not in a bad way, but I kind of just stopped saying stuff because he kept getting twisted around, and I kept hearing different versions of what I said.
Yeah, that's why I just want to make sure.
No, but all I saw was a cowboy hat, and that was the only identifying mark that I could make.
Okay, so he wasn't outside of the truck.
No, he got, when I was over here, they were both standing outside the truck. But then by the time I had gotten right in front of the high school on the highway, the truck was moving through the parking lot.
towards the same exit that you went?
Yeah.
Bryce seems to flip back and forth on whether or not the alleged cowboy was outside or inside of the truck when they arrived. He ultimately claims that they were outside the truck when he first arrived, and in that case, he should have a more accurate idea of the suspect's height.
Could you see any type of clothing or anything on him?
Nothing specific that I could.
Just there. And was it a white hat, black hat?
It didn't look light, so I don't think it was a straw hat, but I mean, they do make black straw hats, stuff like that, so.
Okay, I'm not sure though. No. What was she wearing?
She was wearing, like, I don't know how else to describe it besides, like, hippie bell bottoms. They're like leggings that bell bottoms. They were, like, really fluorescent, like, tie-dye color.
Oh, they're pretty loud, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then she was wearing a gray sweatshirt, a zip-up.
Is your truck a single cab?
It's a single cab, single cab.
What about the F-150 that she got into?
It looked... I didn't notice any windows in the back, so I assumed it was just a single cab, but I couldn't tell if it was a crew cab or not.
Because when you pulled into the parking lot, it was facing you when you weren't paying attention to it, right?
Yeah, it was parked straight towards the high school, so I came up right behind it. But I mean, there's still a good probably 40 feet between where I was driving and where it was parked.
Okay.
Did you notice on the bed it was a step side?
Yeah, that's where one of the details that's also been getting mixed up a lot is that's why I recognized what type of truck it was, because it had the step side right in between the bed and the cab.
No doubt on that then.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. And was there anything else on the truck that stuck out?
I saw a sticker on the back window, but I couldn't tell you exactly what it was.
Do you remember where on the back window?
I remember it was on the bottom, but I don't know if it was straight on the left corner, but it was towards the left side of the truck. I didn't see the right side of it at all.
Anything else you can think of about the truck that might specific or help narrow it down?
I swore that I saw a toolbox, but I can't be 100% on that.
Sure, understood. Okay.
Tinted windows.
It looked stock to me. Nothing that I noticed made it look anything like he put aftermarket on it at all.
No aftermarket tires, wheels, nothing like that you could tell.
I didn't look very tall at all or anything.
One you could see inside the cab and seeing that the hat was close to the top too, so I would assume that there was nothing across the front, like a banner on the windshield or anything like that. Then, right?
It's a banner.
Like, some people put like Ford or shit. Most of the time.
Never. Not that I noticed them.
Coincidentally, Bryce's description of the stranger's truck seems to closely resemble the design of his own truck. Large metal toolbox in the back, non-tinted windows, and a sticker on the back window that read "Justice for Britney." While his truck didn't have a side step, it did have an extended back that allowed one to step up onto the bed of the truck.
Let's see here. So, just to reiterate, you guys drive around, go to the high school, drop her off. And as you're heading out towards the housing section, correct me if I'm wrong, but as you're heading out towards this housing section is when you see the green truck heading out towards the exit that you left out.
Yeah.
Okay. And then where did you go from there?
I'm in Dad's house.
You went to your dad's house. All right. How long were you there?
Probably hour and a half, maybe.
Okay.
Have you guys ever been into an intimate relationship?
Yeah.
No. Nothing besides hugging and just no kissing or never ends with benefits or nothing like that.
So one of the things that we like to do just to be thorough, man, to make sure that, like I said, we cross all the T's, dot all the I's. Is there any reason whatsoever? Because obviously in these situations, they go full bore, right? Is there any reason whatsoever that they would find your DNA on her or in her?
No, nothing. Besides maybe like a speck of hair or something on her jacket, there would be nothing else.
So no sexual relationship whatsoever?
No.
Okay. Is there anything on your phone that you would be concerned with us finding? No. Okay. Do you have any problem if we take a look at your phone just to make sure that we're good to go?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so what this is, you read and write English, okay, right? All right. So what this is this basically a consent to sign or consent to search form that just basically gives us authorization to kind of look at your phone and make sure that everything is driving, everything's good to go, all right?
Was there anybody in specific in the school itself that she continually told no that may have been frustrated with that? Was she the type of girl that would go around and meet you guys?
From what I've been told, she hangs out with a lot of people, but from what I've been told by a lot of people is that she still has yet to have sexual intercourse with anyone.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's
Is what I've been told.
So she's not a girl that's considered easy in high school, and she told somebody no and they got frustrated because they were told no.
She's easy to be friends with, but not to date. No, she's.
Has she had many? Does she have a current boyfriend?
Besides, we knew that she was talking to some dude back east. I think it was New York or Brooklyn or something like that. But besides that, I wasn't aware of any relationship she was in.
Okay. She wasn't. Was she in the same school setting as you, or she just in the regular school process, or was she doing the same program that you were doing?
No, she was going to the regular school process, and then she went to homeschool and did her courses online at home.
Now, would you be willing to submit a buccal swab just for your DNA?
What's a buccal swab?
So it is essentially just 2 Q-tips. You can do it yourself. They're a Q-tip about as long as this pin. You rub it on the inside of your cheek, and you take the other one and rub the inside of the other cheek. We put it in a box. That way, we have your DNA. It's suspected, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was some kind of sexual activity, what they're suspecting. Not saying that you were that person and you had no reason to add your GA in there, but you were the last person that we know of that was with her when she was alive.
Are we sure? We got Monsters, Pepsi, water.
Nah, I don't drink too much. So.
Okay, all right. You know, snack or something? I'm good. Okay, man. Be right back with you. All right, back. All right.
Bryce exhales and looks like he's about to decompress, but first stops short and looks around for a surveillance camera. After spotting it, he goes still, rests his chin in his hands, and engages in face-shielding behaviors, appearing to be a deep contemplation. A few minutes later, the detective re-entered the room and collected a buccal swab from Bryce before ending the interrogation and escorting him out of station. Now, with Bryce's DNA samples, detectives revisited the crime scene the next day to search for any new pieces of evidence that might have traces of DNA on it. They started with the area where Britney was found, and after finding nothing of interest, they fanned out beyond the perimeter of the crime scene. And that's where they hit the jackpot. Tangled in a sagebush, they found a used male contraceptive, which they presumed came from the rapper they'd found days prior. They also found a pair of Apple AirPods belonging to Britney. 3 days later, on March the 17th, the Washoe County Crime Lab contacted the sheriff's office with the disturbing results of the DNA test. Britney's DNA was found on the outside of the contraceptive, and the DNA found on the inside belonged to none other than Bryce Dickey. Detectives took another 2 days to gather a few more pieces of evidence before Bryce was called down to the Elko County Sheriff's Office once again on March 19th. This time as the prime suspect in Britney's murder.
Everybody's going nuts with the coronavirus stuff.
So, I'm going to show you a series of photos. I believe there is 15. Was there another one that just came in? Do you know?
I just had one that was sent to me on text.
Okay, so I can show that one also. Okay. So we have 15 in here. I've got them marked on the back. And then he's got a 16th one I'll show you.
I'd like you to just go ahead and look at all of them. And if there's one that looks familiar, I just want you to be sure that if one looks familiar or of interest or whatever, just let me know. Okay, but I want you to look at the entire packet first before you make your decision. Okay. And I got numbers written in their back, so we'll kind of go through one at a time. Okay, so that one's number 1. And some of these are going to be different angles and everything, so just keep that in mind.
This one, 2. I know it's kind of different.
Yeah, from any, into there. Okay. But, so, examining this photo, nothing in there popping at you at all. Anything? Oh. Okay. That was number 3.
That was another problem, because I swore that I saw a sidestep in between the bed and the cab, and I kept being told that those models didn't have side steps, but I swore I saw a side step.
What do you mean you kept getting told?
I've had a few parents and
One of the deputies that talked to that first night, she went missing, said that they didn't, that from 50s didn't make stepsides that day.
But, okay. So, people were telling you that... okay. I know this one's a blurry one, I think. My assumption is that this one came in on, well, this is number 4.
Those two might actually be the same. This one and this one? No. This one and this one. Oh, yeah. That doesn't look familiar from the very cool, does it? Number 5.
It's the clear photo of that.
No, because I saw a sticker in the back window. I didn't know what the sticker was, but so nothing's popping up. Nothing on that one.
Okay. Nothing? Cows number 5. Here's number 6. It's got 154,000 miles on it. Does that look like the same truck?
Yeah. It's a picture.
Yeah. Alright, so that was number 6 and 7. There's number 8.
It looks like the similar type of one that I saw, but I couldn't tell completely well. I didn't see if it had running boards or not on the side. But I mean, it looked pretty much bone stocked.
Okay.
And I didn't even see any tint on the windows or anything like that.
And that was number 8. Alright, and these ones?
These ones were a little bit smaller.
And that was number 9. Alright, this one's number 10.
But that one actually looks really close.
Okay, so number 10 looks pretty close?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, do you need to look at it for...
Right there. That's basically the same thing. This star, I can't tell if it's dark out, but it has 10.
No. Looking at the windows, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that looks really close. Really close? Okay, that's kind of... Seems to me like it's kind of popping a little bit for you.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. I'm just going to let it start that one by the side, but like I said, just got to go through the rest of them for you.
Okay.
This is number 11.
I was there popping for it because I remember... I'm too push over, but I didn't see any of the chrome bumper or just the unblack and blue.
So when you say the chrome bumper, you talking about this part of the bumper?
Yeah, this part.
Okay, right. No?
And that was number 11.
And let's see. This one's number 12.
I'm trying to remember so many features, but isn't that actually, is that the same one?
Yeah, that's almost what I was thinking. Is there...
Take a look at those two and tell me if you notice anything similar between them.
So it's running boards. What's the reflect from the dude? One thing has a single shark.
Holy crap. Ooh, that's interesting. We never looked at that. Huh. Okay, so this looks like the same truck to you too, right?
It's really the Swift's truck.
Okay, so that was number 12 in this photo that we just dipped out.
So which one says it? 10 and 12?
Yeah. Hang on, those one out. And then this is number 13.
And that'd be Jared's truck. It's in that picture on Facebook. Yeah, it's my buddy Jared, Sector 15.
Okay. So I probably didn't need to put the little blue sticky dot over his face.
As Blair. Yeah, Jared Blair. Okay. And then
this is number... So that was number 14 with Jared Blair. And this is number 15 out of 15 and on.
You don't see LEDs on it, but I didn't get the closest look at it.
Okay.
And I couldn't tell you from her, actually.
Okay. So, nothing popping on this mirror. Okay, and this one they sent 3 pictures. That's picture 1.
Picture 2. Picture 3. And it seems really close to what the ones you already...
Would you mind if I No, go ahead.
I am messenger.
Actually, I think that's one of the kids go to my school. Looks really familiar. There's a kid at my school which has a listed trait.
Alright. Well, and you said that it was stock, right?
Yeah, I didn't...
Those wheels are not stock.
Yeah.
Those are... Yeah, it looks like it's got a little bit of something going on with the lift.
Sergeant Hop's been having that.
Got it noted. Which ones? I just didn't want to get them mixed up. Alright, so these two looking pretty promising to you?
That's me.
Okay. Well, I guess, would you mind, now I know you've talked to a couple of cops about it and everything like that. And, it kind of seems to me like you were saying somebody told you that these models don't come like that, but we just found one. So it's kind of like people almost putting words in your mouth. So, would you mind? I mean, I know you guys want to go out shooting, and I want to get you out of here and everything as fast as I can, but so that way we don't have to contact you again after this. Would you just kind of mind going over everything that happened on that Sunday and give me a description of the vehicle and everything like that here?
By stating that he wants to get Bryce out of here as fast as he can, the detective is putting him at ease by giving him the false expectation that he'll be able to go home just like the last visit. But in reality, there was virtually no chance of Bryce walking out of there, given the evidence that was now in their possession. More evidence than just the contraceptive.
Alrighty. So, like I said, I know you and asked a ton, and I apologize for that. I can't imagine with everything going on and just the craziness with the coronavirus and everything. You're gonna sit here and talk to us again, so believe me, I get it, and we'll get this done real quick. Get you out of here, okay? Could you just kind of, just tell me what's going on with the 8th when you were with Gabby? Just go ahead and, or does she go by Britney? Okay. So when you were with Britney on the 8th, just talk me through that from the beginning to the end.
Okay. Like when I got called in the LPD, I had my phone, so I know the exact times, but probably around 11 or so, for texting, and she said she was in town for her dad's band practice, and then asked the phone to hang out. So got ready, went to town around 12, I think. And then when I got on the right over the 5th Street Bridge, which around the Silver, and called her because she wanted me to pick her up at Angel Park. So, and she said she was gonna walk down. So I called her, got to Angel Park, picked her up, and then drove around town because we had no idea what we wanted to do. So went up towards Mountain View, then back down 5th again, and then she kept asking me if we wanted to go just drive around Elko, Spring Creek, or go down Bowling or something like that. So then we went back over to Summit, went down over towards the Horse Palace, then George just did a full loop to Spring Creek, went back over towards the housing section, and back across the roundabout over towards the sports complex. And then my dad texted me asking if I'd come home. So I asked her if she wanted me to drop her back off at Angel Park or take her right to her dad at band practice. And then she got on her phone for a minute or so, and then just asked if I could drop her off at the high school. And then pulled into the high school, and that's when I actually drove right past that F-150. Didn't realize that's where I was dropping her off with. So pulled in front of the high school. I gave her a hug, dropped her off, and then I was already pulling back off, and then she was walking back over there from 50. Okay. And then by the time I gotten back out of the parking lot there from 50, was just moving to the parking lot.
Okay. And when you say you pulled up in front of the high school, like, I mean, which are you
Okay, so I don't like using the main entrance to the high school, like off the highway, because to me it's still sketchy.
A lot of accidents there, right?
Yeah. So I go in through the Maverick side, right from the middle school.
Okay.
And so I went in, and then how are you familiar with the high school?
It's been a long time since I've been out there, because I know that the entrance you're talking about on Boyd Kennedy Road, that's newer, right?
Yeah, it's only been there for probably like 2 to 3 years, I think.
2 or 3 years. Yeah, because they got like Jersey walls or something up, kind of guiding it through, don't they? Or
no, there's curbs there.
Curbs now. They were the Jersey walls at one point, though, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, but so in front of the high school, on the right side, you have the senior parking, and the middle is kind of like the mixture between staff and visitor parking. So I pulled in right in between the both into the visitor parking, right in the front. So like right in front of the offices to the front of the building, and then so I pulled in right in between there, and the F-150 was parked over in the senior section. Which is only, I mean, it's not extremely far away, but it's probably like 40 yards apart.
So, because you're facing opposite of me, so if you keep saying this side, like if I'm in your perspective driving into the school,
yeah,
you come in this way, and you're saying this side is okay.
Still on that right erased. Well, sorry, haven't had all the caffeine I've paid in.
So if you could draw a diagram of the school, and
didn't know you were gonna be tested on art today, huh?
Yeah, I'm not very artistic, so.
You know what's really sad? I went to school, I got a degree in art, and I can't draw.
So like right here would be like, so like the front door would be like literally right here.
Okay.
And then all the offices and stuff are right next to that. But then visitor parking is part of that parking lot, is all senior parking lot. So then I parked literally right about there.
Okay.
And then that F-150, I'd say was probably around there.
Okay. Now I'm going to forget what's what. So could you, this is where you said you parked?
Yeah.
And what were you driving that day?
It was a 93 Chevy Silverado.
Okay. Okay. And just keep it super simple for me. So you can't, what entrance is this?
This is the main one, so like right in front of the high school.
Oh, so this is like Lamoille Highway right here?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you mind just putting the oil down there? Because that'll give me my bearings.
And then after that, where did you said you left after that, right?
Yeah, I backed out and then just pulled straight out because I don't go in or out that way unless I absolutely have to.
Okay. So you dropped her off here,
and then when you said she walked somewhere, where did she walk?
She just gave her a hug. She got out of the truck, said "love you," talk to you later, and then started just walking over to the senior parking. And then by the time I had backed up, put it in drive, and I got almost to the end of the curb and looked to my rear view, and I could just see Bowden standing outside the truck. That was it.
Okay. All right, so you were pulling. So where did you see him when you were pulling this way?
Probably literally right about here, because the senior parking has a curb that goes all the way up. Visitor parking has a curb that goes across the front of it. So I got almost to the end of the curb because that's when the parking lot opens up.
Okay. So you were on this side of the curb, though, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then right about here is when you look back in your rearview mirror and you saw Britney standing over here, and you said he was outside too?
Yeah.
Okay. And this is about where the truck was?
Yeah, roughly.
Could you just put a little X where you saw him? Okay. And then after that,
What way did you go out after that?
Pulled up, went the same way up Maverick Way, and then go back on the route.
Okay. All right, good deal. All right, and what time did you say this was about the eval drop?
I think it was 4:30, I think. Sorry, if I'm about to go over this 1,000 times since I remember all the details.
Get sleepy. I understand. No big deal. You mind them?
Oh, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, I think it was.
Forgot you were even here.
Sorry, I got my shoe in.
Oh, okay.
I think it was right around 4:30.
Okay. So you dropped her off there at about 4:30?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then, I know you already looked at the truck, but what did the truck look like?
It was. That's why I recognized it right off the bat, because I'm the bad way of Toyota's trucks are ugly as hell, in my point of view. So, but it was. I just knew instantly was remember F-150s. I didn't know they were actually called trains. I just called them the step sites. But it looked bone stock. I mean, it was a little dirty, but it looked just Spring Creek dirty in the wintertime.
Right.
But
like what we were talking about before.
I saw a sticker in the back window, but I didn't see what it was. It didn't look tinted. The windows didn't look tinted at all to me. But because I could see through the back window, but it looked stock. I didn't see any aftermarkets on it. I didn't see any like light bars or anything like that.
Okay.
But besides that, that's pretty much the vague view I got of that truck, honestly. Because I literally just drove straight right past it, didn't even bother to really,
Though Bryce has had to answer the same questions several times, compared to his previous answers, his answers here sound almost mechanical, as if he's making an exerted effort to repeat exactly what he'd said before. This is odd when you consider that most people who've witnessed their best friend's final moments would be racking their brain for any new details that could help the case. Bryce, on the other hand, sounds like he's more focused on getting the information correct than actually being helpful.
No. So, which way was the truck facing?
Towards the school.
Towards the school. Okay. And the only reason I ask is because you got the little arrow there. So, in my role, when we do that, that means the truck is fuzzy.
Okay.
So, so it was facing the school?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you did that over here, too.
But if he'd like.
Yeah,
Could you? I would appreciate it.
And you said that you saw him standing outside?
Yeah.
So as far as the hat goes, I'm more of a ball cap guy myself, but with the cowboy hats, like they have the different. Could you see anything with the way the cowboy hat was shaped?
The brims?
Yeah, the brims.
No, it wasn't. It didn't look like a flat top because those are really distinguishable.
A flat top would be the one.
Not in that way, but kind of like Amish style.
Oh, okay.
That's the ones they sell at Capriolas.
Yes.
Because I own my cowboy.
Well, I was just envisioning you with Amish.
No, I wear my black Stetson. Or my resistable straw. That's the only thing that touches my head. If it's fouled, it's Stetson. Period.
Okay. So I'm sorry, you were saying that it wasn't a flat top like the Amish type.
Yeah, because those are really easy to pick out. But besides that, I didn't really notice anything about it. Besides the fact it looked like a felt hat, but it was just, it looked black, but I couldn't be exactly certain on that.
Okay. At least it appeared dark.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, is there anything about when you drove in, you stopped, she gets out, you said that you guys had kind of said a goodbye. Do you say you had hugged her or something later she left? Okay. So then that happens, and then you drive out, And when you get to this point about, you look in your rearview mirror, you see both of them standing outside the truck. And then after that, you go back out the same entrance that you came in on Boyd Kennedy Road.
Yeah.
Okay. And if I recall, you said something about your dad had called or something?
He texted me.
Okay, so he texted you, and that was to go back home or something? Or okay. So what happened after that?
I just went straight back home, and then that's why timeline after that for me, like, because when I went into Elko PD, because they called me on there to question me. After I left the high school, I think I got my phone probably once in the next 2 hours. I was just at my dad's for about an hour and a half, I think, and then went over to my mom's house because my parents are split.
Oh, okay.
But I'm at my dad's like 2/3 of the time, so.
Okay.
I know it was right around 5, but I don't know an exact time. So I know it was right around 5.
Oh. Okay, and then you were there for, you said about hour and a half?
Yeah.
Okay, and then where did you go after that?
To my mom's house.
Okay, and did you go straight there? Or you stopped?
No, I went straight to my mom's house, and then I was there for. I actually probably barely been at my mom's house for maybe an hour or two, and then that's when Brittany's family started texting me, and then gave my number to her dad, and then got a call from one of the deputies, and then that's kind of when it all started.
Okay, so if you said you got to your dad's house at about what time?
Around 5.
Around 5? Okay, and then you were there for like hour and a half. And then you went from there to your mom's. How long does it take to drive from your dad's to your mom's?
Would it be honest, if I'm doing the speed limit, probably about 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay.
Depending on traffic.
Yeah.
It's literally not very far apart.
Okay. And then, so that puts you about what time at your mom's house?
Say like right around 6:37, I think.
Okay. So, all right, 6:30 or 7, and then you said it was about how long until you were getting
right about right about 7, around like 7:30, 7:40ish is when I heard Brother James started texting me, and then I was texting people and nobody knew where she was, and then her dad asked for my number, so I gave it to him, and then about 5 minutes later, right around 8, I got a call from one of the deputies, told him what I knew, and then probably around 8:30, we kind of organized a little search party, so my friend Kim picked me up, and then we had other friends that went out towards the memorial. We went out towards the high school, and then that's when we went up towards the high school, and there was a deputy up at Sage, but we didn't know it was a deputy. We saw running lights, so went up and he flashed us, and then talked to him, and then he had told us that our phone was pinged on Boyd Kennedy. Talked to him for a minute, and then he told us that, and so he said that we'll go look down Boyd and see if we can find anything. He told us that there was a deputy heading up towards the reservoir already, so he told the deputy that we were going to be out there, and then ended up meeting up with him out towards the reservoir.
As far as the search goes, you guys were done about 2:30?
Yeah, and we were probably out towards the Indian reservation right when we called it quits, because the Jimmy Creek goes all the way down to Lee.
Right. Okay. So then after that, you guys went to Salt Lake the next morning about 8 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
And then, okay, how long were you in Salt Lake?
Just for the day. We got back the night.
Oh, okay. So that was a quick turnaround?
Yeah, it was just straight there, doctor's appointments. Got some food.
Anywhere good? I prefer the chicken.
I don't remember. I'm a spaghetti factory fan myself, actually. But then we just came back that night, and then yeah, it was pretty much. It was an extremely quick turnaround. We went there very long.
Okay. So going back to Sunday morning, what was your day like just starting out in the morning?
Actually, she texted me probably not even half an hour before, like after I woke up.
What time?
I woke up probably around 10. I slept in extremely bad that morning. But I woke up and then pretty much go hang out with her was the only reason I got out of bed, to be honest with you. I was just literally sitting there watching videos on my phone.
Yeah. Anything funny?
Not really. I was just watching dirt bike fails and stuff like that.
Do you remember what she was wearing?
Yeah, she's wearing leggings, but they were like bell bottoms of sorts.
Okay.
Like they were leggings, but they went really wide at the bottom. And then she was wearing a gray jacket.
Okay.
Like a zipper, but that's all I saw. And then besides her makeup, but Britney always wears a ton of makeup.
Yeah. What were the shoes?
I didn't pay attention to her shoes.
Did you have anything else with her?
All that I saw, I don't know if she had anything in her jacket or anything, but all I saw was her keys and her phone.
Okay. And nothing else? No, like, jewelry, anything like that, or...
I think she had earrings in.
Okay. You remember what those look like at all?
I just remember they're kind of like hung down about that far, and they were really flashy. Like, and tell you exactly what they look like.
Okay. When you say flashy, what do you mean by that?
They like, it was like a big piece that kind of hung down and had a lot of designs in it.
Okay. Do you remember color, anything like that, or?
I think it was just like, let's go over against like a copperish color, I think.
Okay.
Kind of like that, just metallic color in a sense.
I know with my kids always running around, they've got their phone. They always have their goddamn earbuds in, and it drives me crazy.
Oh, those AirPods?
Did she have any headphones or earbuds or anything like that?
Not that I saw. Normally, Britney is not the one that kind of just wears earbuds everywhere. So.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Now, is there a difference between earbuds and?
Oh, they're AirPods are just those like new wireless little ones.
Bluetooth. They look like they've got a little stick hand.
So now even like adults and teenagers now they all wear them around because it's just easy.
Oh, you're a milk hassle guy, so
I don't even like them. So
I've got teenagers at home, so I have no choice but to part of my best shit.
I think we covered a lot about that. Well, tell me about Britney. What's she like?
We're gonna have to ask a question because that's a lot. Britney is not in like a bad way or anything, but I mean,
right. Well, what is Britney to you? Like, to us?
Honestly, Britney was my little sis. Like, I've known her since 7th or 8th grade. One of the closest people to me. I didn't even start calling her. I called her little sis for about the last 2.5, 3 years, but she called me big brother since probably about right after the first year that I met her, but one of the closest people to me. She was. A lot of people didn't like her for a lot of reasons, but she was very blunt and kept to who she was, even if a lot of people didn't like that. So that was why a lot of people in Spring Creek didn't like her, just because she was extremely honest. But no, she was always happy. She would get in a lot of like actual fights, but then a month later she would be best friends with the person she got in a fight with. She knew almost everyone. Seemed like there wasn't somebody in this town she didn't know. But She was extremely sweet. Pretty much always had a smile on her face.
Sorry. It's okay. I mean, I can't imagine what you're going through right now. I mean, you know, hearing you talk about her like that and everything, and you know where we're at. So take your time, man. It's all right.
But honestly, in a reason, I don't see why anyone would have a reason to do this in an anger way. Because Britney was probably the most forgiving person I've ever met, and one of the nicest. Because you could punch her in the back of the head, and she would still forgive her. And there was one guy that my friend Brady Wilson, that was extremely close to Britney, brought up. It was like 3 years ago, so we didn't even think about it during this. But there's a guy we used to have problems with, especially with Britney. His name was Chaz Randall. But they brought it up because about 3 years ago, those two had a thing, and they were all at a hotel room in town. I think it was like High Desert. But she called my friend Christian Jacks and was crying and said that she'd been hit, and so she locked herself in the bathroom. And so it kind of broke all hell loose, and about 30 of us showed up at the hotel. Rip went and grabbed her out of the bathroom, took her outside, and then a small fight broke up between my buddies and Chaz, but it was for about 30 seconds, then we all left.
It was 3 years ago.
Unhappy relationship.
You mentioned a promise ring, and I couldn't help but notice you're wearing it on your finger.
Yeah, this is from my girlfriend.
Who's your girlfriend?
Nicklin Day, Nikkkion. And then Day, D-A-Y. Okay.
Alright, and where's she at?
She's at work right now.
But she lives here?
Yeah, she lives.
Okay.
What kind of work does she do?
She works at Albertsons.
Oh, okay.
And what was she up to on Sunday day?
She was pretty sure she was working that day.
Over Albertsons?
Yeah.
Did she know that you were out with Britney?
Yeah.
Okay. She was okay with you hanging up with me?
Yeah, no, same thing as like any other teenage girlfriend, really suspicious of girls, but that's why, like, anytime, because I have probably only about 3 or 4 female friends that, like, kind of my basis to hang out with, which is one with Britney. So I go through and I have my girlfriend meet them and hang out with them a few times before, like, I go out and hang out with them myself, so that way that she's comfortable with it.
Well, and Britney was in her life.
Yeah, yes.
Thank you, Criminal Law. There we go. I'm gonna step out for just a second and refill my coffee cup.
Yeah.
You got Sprite, tea, got some old juice in there or something like that if you want that.
Tea, please.
Tea, I think it's unsweetened. So. Alright.
We'll be right back.
The detectives disappear for about 2 minutes, and if Bryce knew what they were doing out there, he'd probably be trying to find a way out. But instead, Bryce waited patiently for the officers as they re-entered the room, now armed with the nails to his coffin.
You got his tea, right?
Yep.
Thank you. Alright. Is there anything else you could think of that would be able to help us out, or...
Bergie gotten in fights in the past. I mean, in the last year, she's kind of like made low. I mean, she's kind of kept a little bit out of trouble, and she's still a teenager, but we're on her. So last year, at some point, she was kind of around with a few people that we do that were dealing drugs, but besides that, I don't really know anyone or anything that she was doing that could kind of cause her harm anyway.
Okay. So I kind of ask, every time I ever talk to somebody, I kind of ask for things, because I only see it from my perspective. So if you were me sitting in this chair, where would you go next?
Her friend Cheyenne, her friend Cara. It's Cara? I don't remember her last name. I've only met her probably about twice. She don't really count words and stuff like that, though. She's been into all the memorials for Britney. I think she goes between here and Utah. It's one of Britney's best friends, though. Let's see. Best friends were Shannon Fry, Cara. She's pretty close to Britney Wilson. Lacey Shea, Warren.
One other question. If you could say something to Britney, what would you say?
Easy. I love you. That'd be the first thing I would say.
What about the second?
I'm sorry, because I kind of blame myself for all this. Even though,
What would blame yourself?
I mean, I know that I didn't know what was going to happen, but I'm the last one that freaking saw her before she's dead. And I mean, her mom even made me promise that I wouldn't blame myself, but kind of still have a lot of regrets and a lot of stuff I wish I would have done differently that day. Because I wish I would have just taken her back to town to her dad. But dropped plenty of friends off at tons of different places, so it did not quite seem different to me.
Well, I guess on that note, then, what would you say to her mom?
I've already talked to her mom, and kind of hard to get words out, because talking to her mom the last 2 times I've seen her pretty hard, but I told her when we got the balloon release was the first time I saw her after it all happened, but I saw her and we hugged and I said I was sorry, and kind of both broke down, and then she made me promise that if I didn't blame myself.
Well, it seems like you care for her quite a bit. Now, just out of curiosity, and we promise we won't tell your girlfriend. Had you ever been
I got that question the last 2 times. Britney and I have never been intimate in any way. I mean, like, a lot of people get the wrong intentions, because, I mean, do it with all my friends, but, like, calling my female friends love and stuff like that, but that's just kind of the way I was raised, in a sense, with the grammar-wise. But Britney and I have never had a relationship or have been intimate in any way. That's why my girlfriend was comfortable with her, is because she never flirted with me or anything like that.
Okay. Did you ever want to be?
No.
Never.
No, I never had that more urge or anything. I literally saw Britney as my little sister.
Okay. Now, could you provide the PD guys with, like, a swab or something?
Yeah, I let them go through my phone, and then I gave the DNA sample for the swab.
Okay. And that was over at the PD, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And is there any way that your DNA could be associated with this case in any way?
They don't.
Not really. Not along those lines, no.
Okay. Well, I'm kind of confused about a couple things. You said that you'd come in the Boyd Kennedy Road side of the school.
Right.
About what time was that?
I dropped her off around 4:30.
All right, but what time did you throw up at Angel?
Around 1.
Okay.
So round one, you pick her up at Angel Park. And then you come in the Boyd Kennedy Road entrance to the school at about what time again?
Around 4:30.
About 4:30. Okay. So we got some surveillance footage from Angel Park. This is the camera, and I know, forgive me for the blurry photo a little bit because it figured it out. But down here is the time, and that was 15:20. Yep.
Or
3:20.
All right, 2 hours.
Military time.
Okay.
The detective is referring to this outdoor security footage here, which shows Britney who just left her dad's band practice, running across the street to the parking lot of Angel Park. She then lingers there for about a minute before Bryce's dark blue Chevy pickup truck pulls into the scene. Britney eagerly runs over and hops in before the truck does a full loop back to where it came in and pulls back out onto the street, disappearing down the road. The footage closely matches Bryce's account of picking up Britney, all except for the time of the pickup, which occurred 2 hours later than he'd claimed. That's quite a large deviation.
Yeah, so it's a little bit later than what you said, so I'm just kind of confused. I want to clear that up with you a little bit. Because that's her walking across the street. Is that your truck?
Yeah, it looks like my truck.
Yeah, so this is the Boyd Kennedy Road right here. That's your truck.
Yeah.
That's your truck going down Boyd Kennedy Road. This one, this is the storage.
And that's into the storage. There's all the trailers next to the high school.
Yeah. And the entrance would be where in that photo?
It would be right there. But went down. So the storage company goes right here. The entrance to the middle school and stuff is right here. It goes into the parking lot. And then there's the wrestling gym, which is right there, and it cuts right and goes right to the middle school. So that's why I went through.
That's not what you said.
No, I said I went through the Boyd entrance. I didn't.
Cross from the Maverick.
Yeah.
What if I told you we had surveillance footage that appears your truck kept going out Boyd Kennedy Road? That appears your truck kept going out Boyd Kennedy Road.
I am going down Boyd Kennedy Road.
Okay, well, and here's the thing. That everyone's sitting here talking. I just want to clear this up, okay? And I just want to kind of clear everything up and get your explanation for this, okay? Because we seem like a decent guy. We've been sitting here chatting and stuff like that, okay? And I just want to kind of help you through this so that way we can kind of explain this stuff, okay? So with these, you can kind of see from my perspective when I'm looking at this what that looks like, right?
After being confronted with pictures of the surveillance footage, Bryce suddenly began picking at his fingers. This is a habit commonly exhibited by people who feel nervous or pressured. It could otherwise indicate how rapidly his thoughts are moving, as finger picking is also a repetitive behavior frequently exhibited by people who are intensely focused on something, as he admits that he was in the area of her death the day she was killed. Pay attention as the frequency and intensity of his hand motions heighten, much like the interview before.
No, I can see 100%. Can't remember. I got startled after the third cop I talked to, the one that called me down to the high school, because called me a liar about 3 times and kept asking me if I killed Britney. So
somebody asked you if you killed Britney.
A deputy did.
Oh, okay.
And it honestly startled the shit out of me. And I don't want to. I know I'm only been 18 for a little bit now, but I know I'm 18 now, so even changing a little bit on the story isn't a big thing. Well, he talked to me, and I went down Boyd a little bit, but not far, and then I took that first left off of the Boyd Kennedy, which goes straight back to the right to the bottom of the trailer section, and then went back to their high school, but being that Boyd Kennedy at the same time, which I'm missing it. It worried me because I didn't want. I lied because I was scared of people thinking it was gonna be me, which a lot of people still do.
It's understandable. You're the last person to see her alive.
Yeah, which honestly scares me, but I see that there's issues with.
To be 100% honest, and you need to let everything out.
Okay.
So when you said you took that first left off of Boyd Kennedy, was Britney in the car with you at that time?
Yes, she was.
Okay. So you guys went out Boyd Kennedy Road and to the left.
So
going back.
Okay, all right. So I'm just gonna label it again.
Okay.
So houses are right here. There's a lot more of a curve there than it actually looks, but so on the left side here there are two roads, and then this first one kind of just goes down and kind of meets up with this one basically, but it took this one and it goes straight over.
And then you said Britney was in the car at that point?
Yes.
Okay, and then when you got into the trailer section, where did you go from there?
We went to the parkway, straight down past the I think it's like Station 2, the fire station down there. And then I remember the road, but the instead of going up to the light, took, show me the name. So the what's the park in the trailer section?
The one in the trailer section?
The park. It's right.
Brent Park.
Brent Park. Thank you. So I took a right on Brent Park, and then followed it up, and then went up back to the parkway, and then went to the light, and then came back down.
So
then literally just, I kind of have like a set little thing of loops that I do when I get more drive around Spring Creek. So, and that's one of the ones that I do a lot. And but being so close to being on Boyd Kennedy, and as soon as people were saying that's where she went missing, I kind of got scared.
Okay. I have one other concern.
Okay.
And like I said, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on, and I just want the honesty. Okay. We located some items, or an item. Okay. Do you have any idea what that item might be?
No.
Okay. What if I told you that it had both yours and Britney's DNA on it?
What would that be?
I mean, have any idea?
No.
Now's the time to be truthful.
I'm being 100% certain that I don't know what you're referring to.
And you told me before that you and Britney had never been intimate in a sexual way.
No.
Okay, what if I said I had evidence that shows that that might not be accurate either?
I'm not lying. I've never kissed. I've never had sex with Britney. Besides hugging and that's I've never had sex or any intimate relationship with Britney.
Okay. Have you ever watched TV and seen DNA comparisons?
No, not. I mean, I've watched crime shows, but haven't really paid attention to it.
So, you gave a DNA sample, right?
Yes.
Okay. We found a condom. All right, and we found Britney. And we have Britney's DNA, we have your DNA, and we have a condom.
That can't be.
It is.
I've never had sex with Britney. I swear, I've never had sex with Britney.
Okay. So then explain to me.
I don't know. I'm freaking out right now because I've never had sex with Britney.
Okay.
I've never had
Explain
sex.
to me how a condom has your DNA on the inside and her DNA on the outside. Because that doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense. And I don't.
And you can understand my concerns that, you know, I've been truthful with you, okay? And I know this is really stressful, okay? I can't imagine where you're at, all right? But we'll get through this together, okay? And I need you to help me help you, all right? And the biggest concern I have is you could see that we have some footage that kind of contradicts what you said.
Yes, sir.
We've got a condom that was recovered near Britney's body. And it has DNA on it with both you and Britney. Okay? And you told me that you guys had never been intimate. All right? There's only one way that DNA could have gotten on that condom that way.
I'm aware of that.
And you have a pattern now of lying. I heard you were deceptive to Detective Fisher because you got scared. You just admitted that.
I admitted I was.
Your timeline doesn't match up. The other people we've talked to, their stories don't match with yours.
What do you mean they don't match with mine? Am I allowed to ask that or no?
No, absolutely.
We can ask.
Yeah, there's just some issues with the time. Okay.
And they had something even more concrete than witness statements. Records of both Britney and Bryce's geolocations from Snapchat, which told the true story of their entire day on March 8th. As you can see, Britney was with her father from about 11:48 that morning to 3:18 p.m. From 3:16 to 3:22, we can see Bryce arriving at Britney's location where he picks her up, and by 3:37, they're driving down Highway 227. This timeline coincides with the time on both surveillance footages. At 4:08, 30 minutes later entering the highway, both of their locations ping in the area of Burner Basin where Britney was found murdered. Britney's phone is disabled shortly after 4:30, but Bryce's phone continues to ping as he stays in the area for another hour, then leaves at 5:25 to go home, arriving there around 5:49.
And things like that. But the thing I'm concerned about right now is if you were in my perspective and you looked at all this, what would you think?
That I did it to Britney.
Okay. If you were me, okay, how would you explain the condom? If you were me looking at that as a detective, what would you make of it? Okay?
Exactly what your guys are thinking right now.
Okay, because here's the thing, all right? If I don't know what happened, I can't help you out any more past this point. I can't help you what happened.
Okay.
Okay?
Wait, are you... can I ask a question? Are you guys trying to get a confession of him killing Britney?
I'm trying to figure out how your DNA got on a condom on the inside that has her DNA on the outside. I need to figure out what happened with that condom.
Our job is to work as hard to prove innocence as it is guilt. If you didn't do this, what works in the end of the earth to prove that you didn't do this. But that requires 100% honesty on your end because the stuff we have indicates it hasn't been there.
And that's my concerns. We've got
There's a lot of faults in it, and aware. It was extremely odd. Britney was being literally the only time Britney was being really flirty for some reason throughout that day. So we kissed, and I had gotten a blowjob that was through a condom, but then after I was done, she was the one who took the condom and then thought she threw it out of the truck, and then that's the condom.
Where did that happen at?
That first road all the way down Boyd.
So,
not all the way down, boy. But
okay. So where was that condom thrown out the window? That's what we said, right? It was just out the window.
Thought she just threw it away because she was the one who pulled it off. And then, because I had thrown the wrapper and stuff out this driver window, so I thought she just threw it out the passenger side window. So when we went down, it was.
And you saying that you threw a wrapper out the window?
Yeah.
Okay. And so where were you seated in the vehicle while she was giving you the blowjob? Okay. And where was she at in the vehicle when she was giving you the blowjob?
I'm kind of like bent over the bench seat in a sense, like kind of just leaning over.
Okay. Or down this road will you say that is?
I think it's not even probably 3/4 half mile, because it's only like a mile, maybe like a mile and a half between there and the trailer section, because it's almost a straight shot.
Okay, so it was somewhere between here and the trailer section?
Yeah, but because you take this and it goes up a hill, and then it kind of peaks down after the hill, and then that's where I parked the truck.
Okay. So I'm confused again.
Wait.
Well, he said you threw the condom out here. I threw a wrapper out the window. When I was at the scene with Britney, I found a condom, or one of our people found a condom that was near where Britney was at. And there was also a condom wrapper that was on the roadway as well.
Okay.
And that condom that I told you about was much closer to where Britney was found. And this is not where Britney was found. Okay, I just told you, I just want the truth.
I'm telling the truth. That's where it happened.
Where what happened?
Where Britney and I had, or I don't know, does that count as sex? I think sexual act. It's a sexual act. So that is where Britney and I had sex. And then straight after, it went straight to the trailer section, and that was it.
And did you ever have any sort of intercourse, oral or otherwise, anywhere else with Britney?
Just the blowjob. That was, besides like 2, maybe 3 kisses, and that was about it. Honestly, there wasn't much. It was almost didn't seem real in a sense, because she literally just asked if I wanted a blowjob. It did not quite seem real, almost.
Is there anything else about that you need to tell us?
I don't think I can think of, unless I don't know. I'm trying to think of details. I don't know of anything else.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm just going to step out for one more second, okay? And we'll be right back. Okay? You need anything?
You need like that?
Alright, so everything we just talked about. If you were me, what did you think about all that?
I think you guys already know what I think you would think.
And what is that?
That I'm lying about everything. I mean, I'm smart enough to know that's what you guys are thinking.
Oh, I think you're very smart. Like I said, there's only that one chance that you have with me to tell me the truth. Because so far, you haven't told me the truth. And I think we both know that.
Sure.
Okay. So, if you don't tell me the truth, I can't help you tell the truth. Okay? And the thing I'm concerned about is that
Everything you've told me just does not add up. Okay? And I think you're very smart. You know that. Okay? So, help me figure out what the truth is. Okay, but I need to hear that from you.
Okay. So the Angel Park timeline, that I didn't actually realize that I had messed up the timeline on that. That one I'm being 100% on. Okay. So when I got up here, head from Britney, and then cruised for a little while longer, and her texting her friend actually did happen, and she asked me to drop her off with somebody, but I don't know who it was. And he actually had met us on Boyd, and I didn't actually meet the guy or anything, but because he met us up here.
Okay.
But entrance to work, because I don't know where, somewhere over here is where Bringer actually had sex. I really dropped her off with the guy literally in the middle of the road and drove off, and
it's okay. We'll get through this together. Okay? You and I will get through this together. Alright? So we just take us and tell me the truth, okay?
Everything that I've told, except mess ups on the timeline, is true. That was the exact same truck that I saw. I honestly couldn't tell you how they got him. He's that close to Britney's body. I don't know how that happened, because Britney was still alive by the time I dropped her off on the road with whoever the guy was. I just wasn't thinking at all. And I dropped her off and we just drove off.
Okay, Bryce, I need you to tell me who the guy was. Because
I understand that. I know what you're gonna say.
And what am I gonna say?
That you have to know, which you do have to know. But I'm telling you that I literally had never met this guy. Which Britney gets new friends every month, and I didn't really think to try.
Now caught, instead of coming clean, Bryce continued to shamelessly lie about his friend's last moments, giving the detectives whatever answers he thought they needed to bridge the gaps in their timeline. But this is admittedly expected of an 18-year-old teen who hasn't yet fully developed the ability to empathize and comprehend the long-term consequences of their actions. Unfortunately for him, the consequences he had coming were severe.
Now, Bryce, okay, I want you to look at it from my perspective, okay? You've told us several different versions, okay?
Yes, sir.
Do you really expect me to believe that you met a guy after you guys had had sex and you just dropped Britney off with him and you don't know who that was? You're a smart guy. I'm a smart guy.
I had met him, but I honestly don't know who he is.
Listen, I need you to be honest with me, okay? Because think about it from my perspective. When we started out today, I just wanted the truth from you, okay? And then the story changed. The story's changed again. The story's changed again. Okay? I need to get the whole truth. Because once that line crosses, We can't go back. And I can't get that truth from you. Okay? This is the only way I'm going to be able to hear it from you. Like, you're a smart guy. Okay?
Given some because after I told you earlier, I didn't even know the kid lived back in town. It was the Ches Randall kid is the one who picked her up. Which I didn't even know he was back in town. So I swear it was Ches Randall, because that kid's kind of distinguishable, but I was a little pissed off about that. But I mean, honestly, besides grabbing Britney, when Britney wants to go do something, she'll go do something.
So you're telling me Chaz Randall met you on the rose? I told you.
Right. And you've known that Chaz Randall killed Britney all this time, and you're just waiting to say something? You let yourself be the last person to see her alive? You expect us to believe that I was the last person to see her alive. I put myself in that position, and I'm going to sit here for a week and a half letting everybody think I was the last one to see her alive when I know who the last person to see her alive is. You think we're going to believe that? You're smarter than that.
Listen, okay? This is... We can't keep coming up with different stories, okay? Because with what you just said, okay, as investigators, we're gonna figure out about Chaz, okay? And if that's not accurate, where would we end up? Back to you, okay?
And you've been deflecting for a week and a half. You're still doing it.
The stories. You have told a whole bunch of cops a whole bunch of different stories.
I had lined over my mouth from Lord.
You need to trust me. I want you to trust me, okay?
Okay.
I need to hear the truth. The truth. Okay?
I know kind of losing your guys' trust by the second here, and let's just be honest about that. Am I correct? I'm not meaning to stretch on, I'm just asking. But I had sex with Britney, and then I'd done having sex, and then it got really quiet in the truck. It was really awkward, and I think we were both kind of like regretting it in some sort, and so we went, and I started driving again, and kept going, and we started talking again, and by that time she'd come out and said, I don't think we should have done that, and I agreed with her, because I felt like shit about it, but because it just didn't quite feel right, even though I was dumb enough to do it. And so we kept going, and I asked her why she did it, like why she gave me a head, and we kept going at it, and then she got a little angry at why I asked. I don't know why she got angry why I asked, and then she got pissed off, and I apologized. And then we turned the radio back up, kept cruising down the dirt road a little bit, and then she got just really quiet, like she wouldn't say anything, and she was just sitting there texting on her phone. And then we got a road that borders the trailer section. It goes all the way up and down. We had gotten to that, and I kept driving down towards the trailer section, and then she finally started talking to me again, and she kept asking me to drop her off, and I said, okay, just tell me where. And it was almost kind of like we both just wanted to forget it ever happened. And she literally just told me to just drop her off, and I didn't know where to drop her off, and she wouldn't tell me anything. And then we got right to the top of the trailer section, right to the houses, and then right there, and then I said something that pissed her off, and she literally just hopped out of the truck when I was at a stop sign. And then I asked her what's wrong, and then she just told me that she had regretted it and was freaking out about it. And I asked her, just kept asking her, because I just wanted to leave, and kept asking her where she wanted me to drop her off at. And she just kept saying drop me off with someone, and I was freaking out because I felt like I ruined a complete friendship over one dumb oral interaction. And then she didn't want to get back in my truck, and so we just sat there, literally had a stop sign right off the framework, turns back to pavement in the trailer section, just sat there talking. And then I had told her that I would drop her off somewhere, and I had gotten up there and tried to give her a hug, and she didn't want one, and I was fine with that. I understood. And then we got back in the truck. Then I just kept it in park because I didn't know where the hell I was going, and sat there and both just had steam pouring out of our ears because we were both upset. And when it and she just asked me to drop her off at her friend's house in the trailer section, and so I went, and I went down the side of the trailer section from the corner. I pulled her up, and then asked her again if she just didn't want me to just take her back to Elko, and she said no, it was fine. And then she had told one of her friends about what happened. I just don't know who it was. So she sent she sent like a Snapchat video, and I was fine with it because it was a fuck up that I made. But I dropped her off in the trailer section, and I drove off pissed off, went home, and then sat there. And then when I went back over to my mom's, and I got the text messages that she was missing and shit, and it freaked me the fuck out because last time I saw Britney, I was flustered and angry. But
I call bullshit.
What?
Listen, okay?
You guys are just looking for a confession.
No, okay. I'm looking for the facts to match up.
What facts don't match up right now?
Okay, I think you know.
But I don't. I'm lost.
Do you think we've been doing nothing for the last week?
No, I think you guys are working your asses off.
We talked to a ton of people. Your name has gone up a lot. And the conversations they've had with you, that your stories to us don't match.
And I don't know how that is, because literally everything I told you guys is what I've told everyone.
This is what we're gonna do. Okay? We're gonna step out of this room one last time. Okay? When I step back in here, I need you to tell me the truth. Okay? So, we're gonna step out. Alright? Hang out in here for a second. And then we'll come back in. Okay?
Okay.
Know which number we're on then. Okay. The fruit that you were driving has been seized. Okay. Then it's going to be forensically processed. You can read. And there's some search warrants going on at the residences right now. Okay. So, I just want to know. Okay. Now we've already kind of established you haven't exactly been truthful with me. Let's hear it. So, am I going to find anything after the fact, after we talk? Because once we walk out of this room, we can't go back.
No, sir. There's nothing in my truck or my residence that has anything to do.
Last opportunity to tell me the truth.
I don't know where sir.
So you're still expecting us to believe that you dropped her off and her body miraculously appeared where the condom and condom rifle were by some strange freak coincidence.
I did not kill Britney. But I imagine being in my position trying to explain this.
Well,
of all
we're
things.
trying to figure out how she ended up dead.
And
But realize, she disappeared on the 8th. You've been sitting on this knowledge without saying anything to anybody?
because I've had the entire town of Spring Creek asking me if I've killed Britney.
And you might as well have if you didn't say anything.
Alright, sorry. I'm sorry, buddy.
That's right. Well. So this is the story that you're going to stick with?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Go ahead, stand up, face up. Separate. And put your hands behind your back. Separate your feet a little bit more.
What's up? You?
Following the interview, Bryce was taken into custody and transported to the Elko County Jail, where he was booked on suspicion of murder. Meanwhile, search warrants were executed on his truck and residence. Detectives recovered a small hunting knife in a leather sheath from inside his truck, while in his room closet, they found a brown pair of boots that tested positive for blood. Following these discoveries, Bryce was officially charged with essay with a deadly weapon and open murder, meaning they hadn't yet determined whether the murder was committed in the first or second degree. Family and friends were left speechless and heartbroken by the news, but also relieved to know that 11 days after Britney's passing, someone was being held responsible for death. Bryce was held in the Elko County Jail without bond until his trial on May 9th, 2022. There, his former girlfriend testified to Bryce's unprovoked aggression, stating that he'd choked her without consent on numerous occasions when they were getting intimate, even after she'd told him not to. The last instance of choking was the most violent, and happened to occur on the night of Britney's candlelight vigil. The jury deliberated for 4 hours before finding Bryce guilty of first-degree murder with a deadly weapon and essay with a deadly weapon. He was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 46 years.